intent you say it with, right? If I call you and I go, hey, this is Dave, DNA Realty Group. I saw your house came off the market. You're going to be like, dude, beat it, pal. You know what I mean? Like you sound like the 10th person. But if I call you and I say, hey, this is David, DNA Realty Group, and pay attention to my tone because I am changing it, right? I'm changing a lot of things about the way I talk. Like right now, I'm talking slower, right? I'm not running through it. I don't care if they hang up. My name's Dave, DNA Realty Group. Look, I saw
Hey
you.
guys,
Well,
how are you guys?
hey, how are you? And
I'm well, thanks. Sorry.
that's
No
okay.
worries.
And I'll say, hey, how are you? This is Dave. I saw your house did not sell, and I was just curious if you like had an idea why it didn't sell, right? And they'll be like, fuck, I'll tell this guy why it didn't sell, right? Because they have an idea. And I go, well, do you think it was the marketing? Do you think it? And obviously, you got to fill out every conversation, right? When I call with my tone of voice and the way I talk, it's gonna be a different approach than if somebody else on this call calls with their tone of voice, right? Like you got to figure out what works for you. Scripts are good, but they have to be your own. But here's the bottom line. If you're going to call for less than 15 hours a week, forget about it. If you're going to call for less than, I don't know, like 48 weeks a year, forget about it. The thing about cold calling is it's so hard that, and it's so good that the inconsistencies kill your business, but you don't see it until 3 months later, right? So what happens is this: you end up calling and then you get a couple listings and you get so fucking excited because you've like cold calling is a thing you earn, right? Like nobody can hop on a call and just be good. It's a thing you gotta like I think I'm good at it now, but I've been cold calling for 10 years and now it's like a prideful thing to me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's cool. That makes it super cool. But what you do is 15 hours a week, ideally it's 20. Ideally it's 20. Like, let's be realistic. If you're calling less than 20, forget about it, dude. It's got to be a full-time job. Like, if you were a bodybuilder, you'd be in that gym 20 hours, right? If you were a football player, you'd be in that gym. If you were a tennis player, you'd be on the tennis court more than 20 hours. If you think you're going to build your business cold calling, you got to be on it 20 hours at least, right? Then go on your appointments. And then what happens is you go on your appointments and you slowly stop calling because your confidence goes up because of the excitement of the appointments, right? That's why you got to keep a consistent schedule if you're going to cold call. I think that those are the fundamentals. I believe that the scripts are the easy part. Figure out what works for you. Most of the scripts are the same. I like, if you were to say like which script should I use, I don't know, dude. I like studied Haas Pratt scripts, Diana Kokoska scripts, Mike Ferry scripts, Tom Ferry scripts, Tom Hopkins, like anybody under the sun, I've studied their scripts. And at different points in my life, in 10 years, I've used different scripts. At times I used no scripts. I was like, I'm just going to wing it, which sucked. But like the reason you study scripts is so you know when to shut up and when to talk. You have to know these things. You can't just like blabber. You have to, you're talking to another human being. And I think the way you talk to your friend is the way you should talk to these people. And they'll know that you're genuine. You got to be genuine, right? When I talk to my friends, I talk like this. When I talk to people, I talk like this. But I used to get on the phone and be like, hi, Mr. Seller, this is Dave, DNA Realty. And I don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? It sounds, so you just want to make those adjustments. Um, if you call for 20 hours and you do it for, say, I'd say you got to do it for 6 months, but let's be realistic. You'll see results in 4 months, if you, like good results. By the time the third and fourth months come, you'll be seeing pretty good results. So I think what you have to do is just commit to a quarter at a time, right? You got to eat an elephant one bite at a time, as they say. And then just study the scripts that work for you. If you were like, what are the scripts to know? You know, like if I said, what's the script highway? I'd say just study the Mike Ferry scripts. Anything that deviates too far, and take any scripts on earth. But if they deviate so far from the Mike Ferry scripts, I've been in business long enough that I know like I can't trust that, right? I know there's so many like new guys that like what's his name, like Gary V, and who's the other famous dude?
Grant Cardone.
Yep, all these guys, and I'm sure they're like way better salespeople than me, right? And they have way better scripts. But this is real estate, and I grew up on like Mike Ferry, and I've studied many scripts, and I think generally they all sound like the Mike Ferry scripts with a little twist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if anybody has any questions, we could
So
probably do that.
let's get Kyle involved. He just hopped on the call. So Kyle, what about your 2 cents? I know my brother talked about a little bit some of the things we did. What about some of the stuff that you do? I'm sure selling as many homes as you do probably.
So I'm actually gonna really give props where props are due. I think David really hit it on the head, and I like the way. So the one thing I liked what he said was, you know, you can't be robotic, right? So everyone has these scripts, and and I've made my business on kind of going opposite of what everyone else has done. So everyone goes one way, and just follow anything, right? So I've been in business for a while, obviously, and I've been around for a while. And, you know, one of my things, whether it's the stock market or real estate or whatever, and you could take this even like gambling. If any of you guys ever gambled before, think about it. The casino always wins. And why does the casino always win? Because the casino always goes opposite of what the public does. So what does that tell me, right? So what it tells me is when I go to do something, if I follow the herd, I'm just going to be like everyone else. If I go out there and I actually do something a little different, and I say I call myself a chameleon all the time, and I chameleonize myself to deal with whoever I'm talking to. So I'm not going to talk to every seller the same way. I'm going to size them up, right? I'm going to have a quick couple second conversation, and then I know who I'm dealing with. And then after I size these folks up, at that point I can take it from there and kind of coordinate or orchestrate my conversation. So for me, it's really about becoming a chameleon, understanding your audience, and then gearing towards that audience, right? Too many folks go out there and they have the same script every day for the same, like it's like a robot, right? And you're not going to differentiate yourself. So you need to build that relationship, build that rapport, build that trust, and then from there, you know, you have a better opportunity. Remember, these folks didn't list with a realtor for a reason, right? They think they can do better. They think they can sell it on their own. Whatever the case may be, you need to take that misconception and throw it out the window. And that's that's kind of the part that I think a lot of folks forget. And I think David hit it. He spearheaded that. And, you know, I've heard his calls and I've listened to him. And I'm not a big, you know, I hired a virtual assistant to handle my stuff. So I don't do a lot of cold calling for FSBOs. And it's a function of time. But I think if there were anyone I'd emulate, it'd probably be the way David does it, because I like the way he approaches it.
Absolutely. And just in general, even though you don't make those outbound calls, Kyle, I know we do, and we built our business that way. You probably get a lot of those inbound people that tried to sell on themselves and didn't, which are expired or for sale by owners calling your phone. And how do you handle those when they call in?
Yeah, so I get those calls daily, right? So the beauty of it is when you get to that point, so you have to start with being doing what you guys are talking about, outbound calls, calling folks that don't want to talk to you, dealing with those folks. And then from there, right, as you build a reputation in the business, it becomes inbound calls. So people start coming to you. When they come to you, they come with this conception of who you are, or this perception of who you are. I always tell myself, look, this is my stage. Give me the microphone and let me own this stage, right? So my goal is all the time to be on stage, and every single person I talk to, I need to impress that person. You get one shot with the first impression. If you mess that shot up, you can't come back from it. We're in sales, right? We're a commodity. There's a million of us out there. So the beauty of it is that one opportunity, when I get that one shot, if anyone's ever listened to Eminem, you got that song "Lose Yourself," and I always put that in my head. And I probably listened to it since I was 18 years old, 17 years old. And I think the words in there are real. And I think the words and the message behind that is really real. And I think that's something that we can all, you know, listen to that and understand what that means and how important, you know, you get one shot and you get one opportunity. And if you take every day, every minute, every hour, and you gear yourself towards that, I think you can't be unsuccessful. It's not possible. You're doing the right things, right? You're doing the right things. Like he said, you don't spend X amount of weeks, you don't spend X amount of hours, you'll never be good at it, and you'll never see results. So the beauty of it is it's like anything. The more you do it, the better you'll be. The better you are, the better you'll do. So I think, without getting into a monologue on this, I really think it's important that we pound these phones and that we build a reputation, build a script, and build a business off of this. And then from there, you'll start getting the inbound stuff.
Right. Absolutely. So, I mean, you either have a lot of time or you have done some sales, so you got some money. So you have to pick proportionally, right? If you got a lot of time and no money, you got to be banging the phones. Like in the earlier calls, Kyle said, doing the open houses. Like my brother said, call expireds, call Seyboth. If you got the money, you could then go back, listen to the earlier calls we did, reinvest it in that internet generation, and kind of go from there. You're going to start to get a lot of inbound calls after you've been in business for, 5 years, 10 years. Even as Kyle mentioned on one of the calls, he gets a lot of inbound calls now. And a lot of those buyers that he started are now becoming sellers, right? So he sold them a house 3, 4, 5 years ago. The same thing with us. People are calling us and they're like, oh, I'm ready to list a house. And usually they have to buy another house that's bigger. So I'm going to swing it back to my brother, give some points on expired listings. Then we're going to open up to Q&A. What I want to do is something a little bit different today is just give us topic ideas of what you want to learn more about to grow your business. Like maybe something you're struggling with or the biggest challenges you're having. And we'll kind of do round robin. So all
right. So I got a couple quick cool things. Number one is we were in a car because, we've been friends with Kyle now for a while. So we were in a car with him and he got a call from somebody who was actually an expired listing. And this lady called and she's like, I got your number from someone. And she was like fucking irate. This lady was going off. And I even at my level that I think I would have been like, screw this lady. She's fucking tapped. You can't help her. And Kyle was like, listen, I do this for a living. I can help you sell your house. Just tell me what's going on and let's see if I can help you out. And he took that lady from the highest of highs to calming her down to setting an appointment. And it was unreal. And it taught me something, people, they're coming from different places and you don't know. That's not your job. But you got to be professional and just be smart about it, right? Because basically what that lady was saying was, I need help, right? And what I heard is this lady's crazy. And what Kyle heard is she needs help and I'm going to help her. So you got to keep that mindset sharp. And the other thing is this. We've taken many listings now earlier in our years, and we've sold these people. Some of these people, we've sold them 4 or 5 transactions, right? Whether it be their friends, referrals, they came back to us again. And I actually just got speaking of, it's funny we talk about this, but I just got an email this week, and a guy whose house expired, who I put on the market, basically sent an email, and this is what he said, right? And I'm only reading this on this call. I'm not going to say their names, right? Hey, Dave, this is so-and-so. You sold my condo about 4 years ago. Whenever someone asks, I always recommend you guys. I was talking to an old friend this weekend, and he basically wants to sell his single family. And basically then what he says is, he was telling me about it, and I was telling him how good of an experience I had as realtors with DNA Realty Group. And that guy was an expired call. So the amounts of business you can get is not going to, the biggest portion is not that initial person. It's the relationships. That's what you do it for. That's all I got.
Let me unmute myself. Absolutely. Yeah. To David's point, some people have a sphere and some people can spend the money to generate leads. If you don't have either or, those expireds, those Seyboths, those happy customers are going to become repeat and referrals clients. That's going to become your sphere. And that's how you're going to be able to grow the business. Right? Each and every year, you got 20, 30, 40, 50 deals coming from people who tried to sell their home, couldn't. You went in there, you sold it. Now they're a raving fan. All right, we're going to open it up to questions. So if you got a question, just either raise your hand or unmute yourself. And more than a question, please tell us about more of what you'd like to get on the call or a big challenge that you have and that we can help you with. Nick, why don't we start with you since you're next in my order on the screen?
All right. So my number one question that came up, first question was, what audio sources do you use for script practicing? I know, I'm on the road an hour to drive to the office, an hour to go back home. So I'm always on audios and all that.
So like what technology we use? Is that the question?
Yeah. So like, are there bold CDs or like, is there a podcast that has scripts?
Yeah, so you could get them a variety of ways. You could listen to them on YouTube. Guys do it. We have a huge YouTube channel, DNA Realty Group. One of our videos have over 100,000 views, so you can listen to those videos while you're driving. You could also get the Bold little. They have if you take the class Bold, they have a little audio disc. You could plug it in your car. You could listen to it on the road. I mean, literally. And then you could phone practice, which is just using your regular phone. My brother, if you got anything to add, go ahead.
I like role playing with people, but I kind of don't. I like practicing on my own. So what I always did is I always listened to the CDs. In Bold, we took it a bunch of times, so I have a bunch of like the fobs that I could plug into my USB in my car, and that I just got that thing on play all day, every day till the day I die, probably, right? So I got that thing in my car, so that's made it super easy, technology. But before that, I basically would read scripts. I had them printed. I'd read them every single morning, and then I would basically study CDs in my car.
Nick, any specific topic you want us to cover next week or in the next coming weeks?
I mean, for me, topics on FSBOs and expireds, just any info. Being now a solo agent, I'm going to be really hitting FSBOs and expireds real hard. So, new to FSBO. So,
all right, whoever's next, go right ahead and just tell us, a challenge or a call that you want to, a question challenge or a call you want to.
I got a question for David. When you were calling your expireds, were you calling brand new, fresh expireds or mainly old expireds? Because I noticed that, like, when you're calling brand new expireds, a lot of other agents are calling them. So then it gets to a point where they're not picking up the phone. You know what I mean? So that, and then I'll let you answer that first.
I'll say this: you got to be first, right? If you're not first, you're last.
Right.
And the other thing is you have to have skill. You have to have skill. If there's 10 people calling and you sound like the other 10, you're not the sharpest, right? So you got to be the sharpest to win wars, let's say, right? You got to be the fastest, the smartest, say the smoothest things, say the best things, say what you have to say to help these people, right? You got to get in that door. But I think that the way I called is I always called the new ones, then the old ones, then the oldest ones. And I always called them. And I'd get business out of all of them. I think the newest business and the best business is in the initial contact of the newest expireds. You have about a week to 2 weeks after that. And anything after that, it's probably like a 50-50 shot.
Okay. And so now that you guys are starting to spend more money in your business in regards to lead generation and so forth, how are you balancing your time with making those phone calls and then going on showing appointments for, buyers per se?
So up until like 3 months ago, I was still doing it like 4 hours a day. Actually, I started doing it more within the last year. I was like 5 hours a day because now you got to understand I'm good and I love it. I just love talking to people, right? So
right.
I hired ISAs now. I hired an ISA. I have that person calling for the amount of time that I would have been calling, and I'm training them, and I'm focusing most of my time on showing up to the houses. But if that guy ever got sick, which he surely does, I get right back on the phones because you can't stop. You know what I mean? So I've trained myself that, like, dude, if the whole team collapses tomorrow, I'll be right back on the phone. Zero problem. I'm not going to, I study my scripts to this day just so I don't fall,
So nothing less than 20 hours per week is what you recommend on prospecting.
It just doesn't make sense, right? Like, how can you do anything for less than 20 hours a week and be successful?
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's just like anything.
Mm-hmm. were you doing it? Were you prospecting for more than 20 hours, or was that pretty much what you were doing every week?
You get burnt out, but depending on your motivate, because it's a mental challenge. I don't know how it is for other people. For me, it's always been a mental challenge, right? You got to train yourself to be at that place. But there's been weeks where I've called for 30 and 40 hours, plenty of weeks, because I was just so hungry to do. I just wanted more. So I would do that. But you get burnt out. Cold calling is one of those things that you'll get burnt out. You gotta keep it's like you gotta keep your mind sharp if you're gonna do this. Think about it. Cold calling for so many weeks, you're gonna get some people that are just gonna be rude, man. And you gotta learn to let that fall off your shoulders and not make it your problem. But that's tough. It's easier said than done.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anybody else got any call ideas that you want us to talk about in the next coming weeks?
All right. I got a quick question regarding something else. What do you do when you've reached that point where you're feeling like you're already burnt out from making the calls?
Drink a Red Bull. I'm just kidding. Why don't we get Kyle to answer that? Because he's the one he's like Mr. No Burnout Fuel.
He never burns out.
Hey, you've been having me on mute for like 20 minutes. I've been trying to talk for 20 minutes. Nobody unmuted me.
You can unmute yourself.
First of all, two things. So the gentleman who asked the question before about how do you like practice and whatnot, see, that's the wrong attitude, right? So what I say is this: you got to go into this thing thinking that, I don't need someone to tell me how to practice. I need to figure out what works for me, and I need to figure out how to practice myself. So if I'm worried about how David practices or Arthur practices or Mike Ferry, that's good, right? So that's a good way to learn, but I need to find the right methodology to practice for myself. I'm gonna hit that comment right now. And then as far as getting burnt out, right? So whoever asked that question, how do I know, or what do I do if I feel like I'm getting burnt out? The answer there is you're going in with the wrong mentality all the way. If you feel like you're gonna get burnt out from making phone calls, then you're gonna do average amount of business, because you shouldn't get burnt out from that. That should be something that's part of your day. I'm not burnt out. Last night I didn't go to bed till 3:30. I got up at 6 in the morning. I'm ready to go. I'm not burnt out. I'm not tired. Why am I not tired? Because mentally I tell myself, get up, go after it, don't be tired. Everything is mental, and I firmly believe that. If I get up and I say I'm tired, I'm sluggish, oh my God, I can't do this, guess what? The day's going to be tired and sluggish, and you're not going to be able to do it, right? So for me, it's more than just saying, oh, I'm doing a lot. Oh my God, I can't believe this. It's about a mentality where I'm not going to let myself be tired. I'm not going to let myself. That's just not happening. So for me, the burnt out thing, like, you're not built for this. If you think you're going to get burnt out from making phone calls, then this isn't for you. Right? It's for you to be average. It's for you to be average or below average, but it's not for you to be, really go out and crush it. So you got to take that burnt out mindset and throw that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'll add to that is mental toughness is something that you could get trained and ingrained in you as you hang out with people doing better than you, right? If you hang around with somebody that's super mentally tough and is going all day, you'll be like, wow, I could do that too. He's no different than me. So you hang out with people that are selling hundreds of houses a year, you're going to be like, I can do it too. And you're going to, kind of grow in that way as well. So it's 8:32, guys. We're going to wrap up. Just a couple requests. I'm going to share this video, so please share it. Let's get more people on the call next week. Also, on the Facebook page, please send us questions and topic ideas for the next couple of weeks, or any challenges or struggles you're having, so we can plan in advance and really provide value to you guys in that way. So do that as well. So share the call, give us some topic ideas. And also the third thing is, if you like the call and you enjoyed it and you want to know about the next call or the next coaching program or the things we got coming out, please send us an email. You could send that to info@dna-realty.com, or you could just send us a message on Facebook. So those three things, that's all we ask for. And I hope everybody has a great day. Get some buyers and some deals.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Later. Thanks.